Well, it's been a few years since we rode the Rocky Mountain Powerplay in the snow and the sun north of Monaco. On today's show, we're looking at the latest offering from the team based on the North Shore of Vancouver. It's actually 4 or 5 years since I first rode the first Rocky Mountain Powerplay, an incredibly powerful bike, as you'd expect. But recently I took a visit up to the guys at Zero Bikes near Rusan on the England-Wales border to take a close look at the 2022 version. So what are the basics then of the all-new Powerplay? Well, we're looking at a change of wheel size to 29-inch. The travel goes to 170mm up front, 160mm on the rear. Remember, there's adjustable geometry on the bike. The weight around about 24 kilos, which is great for a bike of that amount of travel. Remember, there's a new battery, which we'll talk about in a minute. And the prices in the UK start around about £6,000. But now we're going to have a look at some of the key changes and discuss these with a bit of a Powerplay expert, Nikki Wheatley. Nikki, do you mind me calling you a Powerplay expert?
You can call me what you like, Steve. I'll take Powerplay expert.
Are you excited to see this new changes on this bike?
I am absolutely stoked to see the new changes about this bike.
Yeah.
The changes they've made are, you know, I mean, it's a redesigned bike, and they've really picked up on, you know, some of the little quirks that maybe didn't work quite so well on the old bike. Yeah.
So what we're looking at, folks, we're looking at a new motor, new battery, new geometry, and a new suspension design. Now, when it comes to the motor is now 750 grams lighter than the old one. Comes in at just over 3.1 kilos, but a key part of it is they've actually simplified the design here. They've got an improved sprocket in the motor there, and they've also done away with the guide. In terms of the power outputs on this bike, we've got Eco Trail, Trail Plus, and of course, ludicrous mode, which, believe me, is pretty powerful for going up some ludicrous climbs. But Nikki, it's the change in the battery as well, right, which is pretty significant.
Absolutely. I mean, you've gone from a pretty spectacular kind of 672 up to 720. And also, if you look at the size of that down tube, they've reduced the size of that as well, which is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and I'm guessing because we've got a motor which is actually one of the most powerful on the market. It's great to know that you've got that extra battery. Plus, of course, there's that the bolt-on kit, which is 314 watt hours, I do believe. I don't know what it's called, Alan. Overtime. It's called the overtime battery, which you can bolt on in this area here. What else have we got, Nikki?
So I think one of the great things, real improvement over the old bike, is this Jumbotron display. Jumbotron display, which I believe is named after the scoreboards on the ice hockey. So a bit of a Canadian naming convention going on there. So that displays everything that you really need to know. On the old bike, it was a app, so no more kind of reaching into your backpack to kind of find out the information. It's all there, your battery life, what mode you're in, etc., etc. So that's absolutely awesome.
From what I gather from the guys behind the camera, by the way, is that there was actually two different settings on it, but you can actually fine-tune those as well. So it's a super adjustable bike, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely fantastic.
But what I'm looking at is the new controller here. There were problems with the old controller, weren't there?
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, the old iWalk, I mean, it worked fantastically, but it was one of these things, particularly personally. The cover on the iWalk used to be quite a brittle plastic. You're putting a lot of force through it, pressing it all the time. So you used to smash the cover quite often, be it from putting the bike down or just overuse. That new controller, much more sturdy. You're not going to have that problem. So I think that's
Do you know what? I'll go so far as to say it actually looks to me as one of the neatest and most accessible on the market. It's just the right size. It's kind of super discreet, isn't it? And I like it.
It absolutely is, and it's really tactile as well. As silly as that sounds,
yeah.
It's just got that nice feel about it. It kind of goes with the classiness of the bike.
Isn't it funny, folks? We're talking about these fine details on these e-mountain bikes, but I think the brands are tuning into the details that matter now, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, even another thing, Steve. For me, I mean, I'm a little bit vertically challenged. One of the big problems that I used to have, I'm a little smaller, and was the fact that I struggled to get a water bottle in the old bike.
But now you can get.
Now I can get some. I can carry water with me that's not in a camelback, so that's absolutely fantastic. Again, small detail, But, you know, when you're riding these bikes day in, day out, it makes all the difference.
I think, folks, if you look at this area here, if we compare it to the existing 2021 bike, it is significantly smaller in this area, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that shows, I mean, they've made the motor significantly smaller, but they've also changed the positioning of it, which gives you much more room under there, which is fantastic.
Now, I mentioned a minute ago, folks, that it was 24 kilos. Remember, that in the alloy version, the full top-end bike coming in at about £11,000 is going to be lighter than that, obviously with the higher end components on it. Now, what's always surprised me about the Powerplay, we've got one of the most powerful e-bike motors on the market. Hi, dog. But actually, the chainstay in some ways kind of compromises it. But I'm glad to see, Nikki, that there's changes to the chainstay. We've got longer chainstay on this bike, which is going to help that bike climb even better, right? But one thing for me, which I'm thinking about, the bike has now gone to 29-inch wheels. You were previously on a 27.5 bike in size small. Yeah. Does that worry you at all?
No, I mean, it's going to be an interesting change for me. I like the idea it's going to roll quicker, bigger contact, shallower approach angle. So, you know, it's a change that I'm actually looking forward to trying on the bike.
Do you know, I can't believe that the downside was actually, it looks actually smaller than the previous bike with the 672 battery.
Yeah.
That's actually not the battery, is it?
It is the battery, mate. That is the battery.
Well, hold on. So I've literally just picked this battery up. I don't believe you. That's so light.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing this is the reason that the bike is, you know, around about 23 kilos. They've got a 750 battery, which to me actually weighs like a 500. You reckon?
Yeah. I mean that's one of the great things about this bike is the old bike couldn't remove the battery. You're taking the bike away, bit of a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
Now this proper IP rated battery, so you can remove it, but it's still got that. It's still absolutely weatherproof. And
you telling me you can wash this in the bath?
I reckon you can wash it in the washing machine.
But seriously, it was a problem, was it? Because if you're taking your bike away, you want to stay in a hotel and you want to charge the bike up, but the hotel doesn't really let you take it in the room. It's a pain in the neck, isn't it?
It is. I mean, my bikes live in the dining room, and for me, that's gonna give me an extra room.
And I think, folks, that you can actually chuck one of these in a backpack for a multi-day ride pretty easily. So I think that's a significant improvement.
Absolutely, and I think that Rocky actually do sell a spare battery as well, so you can actually do that. You can actually get a battery to put in your rucksack. We'll
leave the price of the spare batteries in the description down below. Now, I don't know what they call the motor. Is it the Dynam or the Dyname? The Dynami, how do you call it?
It's the Dynam 4.
Yeah.
And it's actually the second generation of the motor. Weirdly, Rocky Mountain called the first one the third, and this is the fourth.
Now, mentioned earlier, 108 newton meters of torque. This is like 20% more than, you know, some of the brands such as Shimano, as Bosch. Was there ever like too much power for you? As the motorcycle goes in the background? Sorry, carry on.
No, I mean, you know, hey, the top level on this is called ludicrous, and it's called ludicrous for a reason. I mean, this bike can climb things that you wouldn't think possible even on an e-bike. But
I'll second that. I will second that.
It's, you know, it's absolutely amazing. But I think the great thing, you have all that power, but the great thing about Rocky Mountain is they pedal like a normal bike. You don't have any of that kind of turbo boost motor overrun. So although you've got that power, Steve, it's very usable.
So in the past then, you know, there's always a trade-off between power and battery life. Were you ever sort of compromised in the past? Because, I mean, even though the 632, 672 in the past was one of the biggest and probably, you know, most kind of forward-thinking in the market, did you ever come short with that battery?
No, I think the other thing is because it is because the motor's so responsive on pedal power input, you can ride this. I mean, I used to ride the bike most of the time in eco anyway.
Really?
Yeah, yes, because it's that
Wow.
it's that intuitive, it's that easy to pedal. So I've never been let down by the battery.
Yeah, I always loved the way, and I haven't ridden this bike, folks, by the way. I always loved the way the Rocky Mountain, the power rolled in and it rolled out. It's, you know, when you're climbing technical terrain, it really was good. But listen, you know, great power, great geometry. But the previous bike did, what shall I say, did need a little bit of love, didn't it, when it comes to maintenance? You couldn't just chuck it in the shed, could you?
I'd never chuck it in the shed anyway, Steve. Any bike, let alone that.
Right. We'll chat about that later.
I think, yeah. I mean, so you did have to take the cover off, and you know, you did have to, you know, give it a clean out. But as you say, particularly with the weather that we get, you used to get all sorts of diatrist kind of stuck in there.
Yeah.
The new one, they've removed the chainstay off the top, which not only kind of makes it a little less...
There's less contact patches there, isn't there?
Less, and also it's a hell of a lot quieter.
It is. I mean, I've just had a quick spin of the cranks. It's almost silent, actually.
Totally,
and there seems to be very little resistance in the system. So there you go, folks. I mean, what a machine. What we didn't talk about is maybe the fact that the geometry, as it's 170, 160 mil travel bike, we talked, I did agonise about the chainstay, but let's not forget, this is a full-on, hard-charging bike, and I can tell you something, it'll go downhill as well as it'll go up. So folks, get yourself over to Zero Bikes here in the UK to get a test ride on the new Powerplay. I certainly can't wait. Nikki, thanks so much for giving us an insight into the new bike. Are you going to be getting a new bike?
I've already got mine on order. In fact, I think the guys at Zero Bikes are probably quite fed up with me asking when my new bike's going to be in.
Yeah, boys, get a move on. Yeah, well, what a bike, and many thanks to Alan and his team at Zero Bikes for letting us take a closer look at the bike. And it is some bike, Chris.
It looks it, Stephen. 108 newton meters of torque on this thing. What is that like on the trail?
Well, I haven't actually ridden the new bike, but what I can say on the previous version is that when you're in really technical, rocky and rooty trails, the sort of run-on you get with a bike with that amount of torque, it is phenomenal. So when you go technical climbs, it's a big performer. I'm surprised actually we haven't seen the Rocky Mountain more at the EWS Power Stage races come into the fore.
Yeah, I think so, and especially with that battery capacity, 1,032 watt hours of power coming from this thing with that range extender. That's some big watt hours, isn't it? Big days out for sure.
Big days out, and especially if you're a light person, you're going to be going for weeks, not days.
And how about the charging as well? It can go from flat to fully charged in just under 4 hours, 3 hours, 55 minutes for that fast charger.
Yeah. So let's know your thoughts, folks. I'm sure the Rocky Mountain Powerplay will be an incredibly popular bike with you guys. So any details you need to know, please get involved in the comments down below, and we're happy to have a chat about this great bike from Vancouver. Right, time now for some news, and one of the most successful downhill racers ever, Aaron Gwyn, has recently been out in Utah to ride some pretty terrifying terrain, Chris.
Yeah.
King Kong
Trail, yeah, this is the trail that all the guys warm up on for Rampage, so you know it's going to be pretty steep, and Gwyn is having an absolutely amazing time on his e-bike, following Logan Bingelli down there. Now Logan's a local and knows his trail really well, and I mean Gwyn looks to be struggling a little bit on this, I think.
Is that Logan? I thought Logan Bingelli. I thought he was Welsh.
No, he's definitely not Welsh.
Now, talking about Rampage and deserts, you guys might have noticed that Chris Smith has not been with us the last few weeks, and the reason for that is that he's actually been out in a desert himself, out in Spain.
Yeah.
Good to see you back. What have you been up to out in Madrid, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had an amazing time out there. The sunshine shoots, Stephen. It's a shame not to have you on there. We rode some great bike parks, some great trails, loads of sun, and look out for all that content coming up on EMBN.
Look at his lovely little suntan.
I've actually got a suntan. There's a few clips from it as well if you want to check something out.
First time I've been on the channel here, and you haven't got a suntan.
Actually, that's true. Dottie's actually on the sidelines here, commenting that it's probably the first time I haven't got a suntan.
We could have a tan off now. Yeah,
a tan off?
Oh no, you still got it. Look at that.
Come on.
Jones is old enough. His skin's like leather now. So
Oh,
it the sun and it just changes.
Okay, just so you guys can translate that, Dottie's saying that Jones's skin is old enough like leather. Anyway, let's move on with the news, please. Specialized have got a new Gambit helmet, Chris. Tell us the details.
Yeah, it's looking really good. It should be perfect for e-bike use. So you've got that protection of a full face helmet, but with the ventilation and the lightweightness of an open face helmet. So got that nice airflow when you're climbing up, so the air's flowing through, but you've got the protection for on the way down. 640 grams this thing, Steve, so super lightweight.
What weighs 640 grams? Anyone from the audience? 10 of beans? No? It's light, put it that way.
Light. It's got loads of cool features. Got the MIPS feature built into it. Got a cradle adjustment that's actually hidden in the rear vent. As I say, this thing looks absolutely bang on for e-bike use.
Now, believe it or not, even though I have actually worn this t-shirt for the past 4 weeks, there is some new stuff in the EMBN shop, and they come in the form of some new tech tees. 4 colours, red, blue, black, and like a grey black. I do believe that Chris is wearing them once today, but he's a bit too shy to get his top off, although I'm sure his top has been off in Madrid the last few weeks.
Yes, totally. We've got loads of cool stuff in there. Women's tech tees as well coming in. Beanies, hats, you name it, it's all in the EMBN merch shop, so get in there and check it out. Coming up this week on EMBN, we have a great week of content as always, and kicking things off on Friday, we have got how to buy a cheap e-mountain bike. It can definitely be done, can it, Steve?
Well, you shot the video, Chris. Can it be done?
It can be done for not a lot of cash.
The thing is we need to be careful. It's kind of, I think the word is entry level, right, Doddy? Not cheap, eMTB?
Affordable.
Affordable.
Aspirational.
Aspirational. But yeah, folks, it's a very difficult subject. Actually getting an eMTB which is actually suitable for purpose is quite tricky, isn't it?
It is.
Having said that, recently I did take that Cabana town bike up into the hills, slick tyres, hardtail, and it's pretty amazing what you can do on an e-mountain bike compared to an antique bike, right?
Definitely. And coming up on Sunday, we've got toughest e-mountain bike race ever. Now, was this harder than what's that race you did? The Tour de Mont Blanc, remind me?
Tour de Mont Blanc, 3-day race round.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
What was this one then?
Folks, yeah, it's a little bit of a behind the scenes into the recent EWSE in Finale, Northern Italy. Possibly one of the hardest things I've ever done on 2 wheels, but I won't rattle on about it because Doddy obviously thinks I've rattled on enough already. Hey, that's coming out on Sunday, and we're going to follow up on Monday where we've got a selection of pros and organisers having a look at the future of eMTB racing, where it's been, where it's going, and actually where it is at the moment, because where it is at the moment is a pretty tough place. Our focus of this week's comments is the recent video which I did on the Husqvarna Grand Tourer up in the Brecon Beacons on a famous gap run, which is a mixed ride of towpath, mountain, single track, tarmac roads, forest tracks, and pretty much dirt tracks.
I'm pretty blown away by that video. Pretty impressive stuff you were doing on that. And I think the viewers say the same as well. We've got this one in from Benoit Collet, who says, same conclusion with my Rusan Muller Vario 3. It makes and goes everywhere. Not so stylish, it's efficient and funny in the deep wild as my old Bear Wild, but a lot more multi-purpose. So
yeah. It is multi-purpose. And then this one then from iRaven Skylar. Have to say you've done really well on that hardtail, probably done better than most that ride full suspension. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when you're riding a hardtail bike in the mountains, you tend to ride the grassy stuff and the smooth single track. But it's always scary when you get slick tyres on a mountain bike, that's for sure.
I've got the last comment in here from eBike Amateur saying, besides all the other valid points, this test shows that most mountain bikers are actually going way over the top with their tyres. Barely anyone who rides natural single track actually needs all mountain, enduro or downhill tyres. This is a different story for riders who ride in extremely muddy conditions. It just shows you how far you can get on semi-slick tyres and should be an eye-opener for many. And as I say, I was absolutely blown away by those climbs you were doing, finding grip in the right places, and I think it's a contact patch at the end of the day, isn't it?
It is. It's like, I was riding a very slippery stream bed.
Yeah.
It was proper slippery, but I think technique and momentum is your friend, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yes. Line choice. There's lots of other things other than tyre. But I wouldn't go recommending, guys, that you go putting slick tyres on your e-mountain bike for sure. It's always the aggro, hard casing tyre for me every day of the week. Time now, folks, for Climb of the Week, and some impressive colours here, Chris, I have to say.
Yeah, it looks really good, doesn't it? This is David here. He's on his Santa Cruz Bullet. He's out in Salt Lake City, climbing this very steep trail straight up the mountain and enjoying the brilliant fall colours. And just look at that. Love riding this time of year, don't you?
I do. Although I do prefer to be in hot climates like Madrid and something like that. Time now to see where you guys have been over the past few weeks, and kicking things off this week is Sean out in, I'll let you pronounce this one.
Oh, thank you very much. Out on Burke Mountain in Coquitlam in BC, Canada. He says, on a wet day, instead of hitting my usual trails, I decided to have a chill ride and just go up the mountain and have a bit of an exploring session. It looks like you've done exactly that, finding this nice pond, bit of waterfall action going on. Looks absolutely amazing there, doesn't it?
It does. Following on from that is Artur out in Warsaw, Poland. Some nice beach woodland there. And finally, Gerard, or Bear Rise Model Year 20 in Denby's Vineyard, Dorking, Surrey. Can't beat a good vineyard.
I can say you'd love that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Great shot.
Thanks for your submissions, folks. Always great to see where you guys have been out and about in the past few weeks.
Right, it's time for the bike vault, and I hear you've had a bit of a hard time with Martin Ashton in the last few shows, James.
I have, actually, but one thing I've learned is that Martin gives us super nice every time there's a trail dog in the shot. So,
or a Cannondale.
Or a Cannondale. Or a trials bike. Or something with Ashton in it. Anyway, we're going to kick things off this week with Jamie, who's down in a place you should be familiar with, Chris, in Burrator in Devon. That's in Dartmoor, right?
Yeah, it is. I've ridden probably along that trail, I think, didn't we?
It looks like a bit of a thrown together shot, I'm afraid, that one.
Literally
Jamie.
throwing your bike in the ferns.
I'm not sure even he gets nice, does it? I haven't been neat from it.
Harsh man.
But next up, for me, this is one of the all-time bike vault shots. This Fran, Cabana Mountain Cross 5, Bavaria and Germany. This shot is absolutely banging.
Literally.
It is. It is stunning. Dottie, take a look at that. That's a classic bike vault shot, right? Look at it. Look at it.
Not bad.
Super
great.
nice.
Are the tyres in line?
We've got some other visitors here.
Are the tyres lined up?
But three-quarter shot. Three-quarter shot.
Cranks
Doesn't matter about horizontal cross. Cranks. Fran. Agreed.
Super nice.
Super nice. Great.
Next one in from Jason. He's got a 2021 Kona Remote DL160. He's out on the timber in Oregon, USA. First ride, weather was terrible for 2 weeks, and he's straight back out at it. I like that rack system on that van. 3 bikes on there.
The bike there, Chris, the bike. Nice. It's a nice. Next up is a red hot shot from Neil, and this is a Cube HPS stereo. Thought I'd combine both my hobbies. Obviously, he's a photographer, or is that? I don't know.
It's in a studio, isn't it?
It's beautiful. That is beautiful. It's got to be super nice. Neil, I'm pretty sure I've seen that shot before. Did you send that in about a month ago? Anyway, let us know in the comments.
Next one.
Up, Chris.
Brent, he's got a Reese Muller Delight e-bike. We don't see too many of those on the show, do we? He's out in Durham. Not sure that we've had one of these on the show, he says in his description. But it's a nice shot, isn't it? What do you think?
Muller Delighted Yogurt.
Muller Delighted Yogurt. Oh, we get some wise answers with this today.
I think it's got to be, I'm loving that shot. Super nice from me.
And I think it's almost a super nice next from Craig out on Pantside. Pantside! Have you ever been to Lower Pantside? Have you been to Higher Pantside?
Lower Pantside on the side of the trail.
Pantside? Anyway, Pantside is a place in South Wales. Leo's laughing his socks off. You'll be laughing his pants off next. Anyway, this is... Craig, I've got to give you super nice, haven't we?
It's got to be it. Especially after having his previous bike stolen, this is a replacement for it, so yeah.
And Craig, I can see that you're on the way to some pretty hot trails there. And then this, Chris.
Yeah, shot from Stuart. He's got a Cube Stereo Pro out in Le Mans Hills in Scotland, exploring the local hills.
I've heard it all now. I've heard it all now. Have you actually heard Loch Lomond called Le Monde?
It's French, kind of French, isn't it? Exploring the local hills in 5. Bit of a French twist on that one. You like that?
We can see that. Greg Lamont.
Exactly. There you go.
That's brilliant.
What do you think of that shot there? Blue sky, top of the hill.
Hey, ooh la la.
Super nice.
Super nice. It's quite a Halloween-y shot. Chris Ricardo.
So he's got
Amondial Country Park, Livingston, Scotland. See, I'm on it now, haven't I? You got me on it now. Amondial Country Park in Livingston, Scotland. It's a nice shot. And that concludes the bike vault, but Chris is going to be only one winner this week. That's going to be the
definitely the
Husqvarna, isn't it?
It's a stunning shot, isn't it?
But is it Husqvarna? Because people have been pulling us up about the pronunciation.
Husqvarna.
It's Husqvarna, right?
Husqvarna. You got it.
It's just husky.
Husky?
But as always,
Dusky?
keep those shots coming into us here on EMBN. Use the upload service. The details for that are up on the screen now for absolutely anything you want to get featured on the show.
Husky and dusky. Doddy likes a bit of dusky. Folks, thanks for joining us. Let us know your thoughts on the all-new Rocky Mountain Powerplay. It's a fantastic bike. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, cheers for watching.